Hey everyone, it's Joelle here, and I am finally getting around to do my February 2019 wrap up. So yeah, here we go. This month I was able to complete 4 audiobooks. Each of them, the grand total of hours was 69 hours of listening, which is a lot. Yeah. I completed a series and then I listened to one standalone book at the beginning of the month. It's the 22nd right now, or 26th right now of February. So I do still technically have 2 days to do something, but I don't think it's gonna happen. So yeah, I'm just finishing this up right now. I had mentioned in my January wrap up that I wanted to do contemporary-a-thon. Didn't happen. Yeah, I just really don't like contemporary books. It's just not my thing, and that's okay. Everybody has their style of reading that they like to listen to. Mine is thriller, horror, sci-fi, so there we go. So let me go ahead and just let you know the books that I listened to. The first one I completed, which I had started at the end of January, and I had mentioned I had just started it, and I finished it. It's Two Can Keep a Secret from Karen McManus. So she had done another book that I absolutely loved and listened to last year. And this one was actually available like immediately as soon as it came out from my library. So I was like, yeah, I want to listen to it. And I actually really liked it. I gave it a 4-star. And this follows some twin siblings that go back to the hometown that their mom grew up in because she is a Hollywood starlet and ends up checking herself into rehab. So they have to go stay with their grandmother who lives in this small town. And the small town basically, and this is not a spoiler because it's listed on the description, they go back to their small town and there's a lot of like murders and stuff that happen, including the disappearance or whatever of their mom's twin. So they get to this small town and, you know, they're having to live with the reputation of being the kids of her, but then also some other weird stuff starts to happen. I liked this. I like this a lot. I feel like it was slightly rushed, and this happens to me a lot. The story that I wanted was not the main story. And then at the end, it just like everything just kind of smashed together and finished up really quickly. So, you know, there were a couple of different romances in there, which I was okay with and everything. But I feel like Karen McManus needs to go back and write a prequel to this, which I think would be really interesting to see the story of the first disappearance and those characters, because I feel like we had to guess a lot of things that were going on. So I gave it a 4-star though, because I really liked it. But again, I figured it out before we were at the end. It was like 3/4 of the way in and I figured it out. So, and then the series that I listened to, excuse me. So that was The Diviners, and I hadn't really heard too much about it. My reading is odd. Natasha had mentioned it before, that she really liked it, and she had gotten some of the like pretty covers of it. And then I think also Chelsea from Chelsea and Dolly Reads also got like the pretty covers of it too. So I had heard about it and I noticed that it was available from my library, all 3 of the books. And I was like, sure, why not? I'll check out all 3. And then, you know, if I don't like the first one, then I don't have to read the other ones. Well, I love them. I rated all 3 of them 5 stars. The first one was kind of like the introduction and followed the main character, Evie. She's the main character of this story. And she goes to live with her uncle who, first of all, it's 1920s New York. So we have like Prohibition going on. We have really building up New York City. So it's like industrial boom kind of era. My history stuff is not very good. Anything before like the 50s is just not good. But anyway, so she's going to go live with her uncle who runs this kind of paranormal sci-fi museum in New York. And she kind of bonds with him. There's a couple other characters that are there, and she meets some friends. One is like a folly girl, which basically she's kind of like a stage performer, and her best friend who is the pianist who works there. And then also there's a guy named Jericho who works for her uncle at the museum that's kind of like this mysterious guy. And then she also meets this guy named Sam, and Sam basically rips her off as soon as she gets to New York. It steals $20 from her, and that was like basically her only money. But anyway, so it's her navigating through the flapper lifestyle of New York City and all of that. But then you have some random paranormal spooky elements to it. So there's a lot of weird stuff going on. There's a series of murders that are happening, and because her uncle is running this museum, he actually gets asked by the police department to help investigate these murders and try and help solve them because they are kind of weird. So it kind of follows her and her friends and her uncle getting involved and helping to solve this murder. Meanwhile, she has superpowers. She's considered a diviner, and her superpower is that she can touch an item and basically read it, where she can see the history of it, and kind of like the person that's involved with that personal artifact of them. So it was kind of cool getting an introduction into this diviner world. And then at the end of the book, you know, it's kind of one of those like, you know, you got to keep your powers secret and all of that. And she's kind of like, F that, I'm going to go public. That's where we lead into the second book. So the second book is called Lair of Dreams, which again, I rated a 5-star. And this follows, Evie has now gone public and actually has a radio show called The Sweetheart Seer, where she basically has people come on and she reads their objects, and it's very like over the top and everything. And a lot of times she lies just because it's, you know, it takes a lot out of her physically and mentally to read the items, but also just to keep it entertaining. But what I like about the second one, and the second one was actually my favorite out of all three, is that we really dive into Henry's storyline. Henry is the pianist that I had mentioned in the first book, and he is a dream walker. So he actually can go into people's dreams and influence them if they're having a nightmare to just kind of like, oh, you know, you're going to take this turn in your dream, and then you're going to wake up and everything's going to be okay. Excuse me, speaking of dreams, I'm naturally yawning. It's also really early in the morning. And in his dream, he comes across this girl who is Chinese, and her name is Ling, and she's also a dream walker, and they run into each other, and Ling had never experienced another dream walker before, and Henry had never experienced a dream walker before. So they're kind of navigating through this dream world, and we find out that Henry, the reason why he goes into the dreams is because he's looking for his long-lost lover, and who he kind of never got to say goodbye to because he was shipped off. Well, he was supposed to be shipped off to military school because his dad found out he was gay, and he ended up running away to New York. So he never got to say goodbye to his lover, and he's trying to find him to get a message to him and tell him where he is. Meanwhile, Ling, her whole thing with dreams is that she talks to ancestors, and she meets up with this Y. who is another Chinese person in the dream walking world, and this girl is on her way to the US to start a new life. But while all of this is going on in New York City, there's a lot of discrimination, which is happening between the Chinese American people that have come over from China to the United States. There's a lot of discrimination. There's also a lot of discrimination towards Black people. And basically anybody who's different, Jewish people, any immigrants over to the United States. It's pre-World War II, so Hitler hasn't really come into his full regime yet. So there's definitely a lot of hate in the United States. And the great thing about this group of friends is that they're anti-hate. So they're very much kind of the misfits, because not only are they, you know, superhero type people, but they're also, a lot of them are part of the LGBTQ community. So we're following them, but then meanwhile, while we are following them in this dream world, a lot of people are getting sick with this dream sickness where they don't wake up from their dreams, and they're getting sick in real life. So now the group is forced to try and help and solve the this kind of dream sickness thing. So I really liked that aspect of it because I loved Ling's story and I love Henry's story, because those are two characters that I really connected with. Meanwhile, we have a love story going on as well with some of the characters, and we're also learning a lot about Black culture in the 1920s, and just like gambling and drug pushing, and then prohibition and everything with the alcohol. So it's really, really neat. And like I said, I'm not very big into history, but it was neat kind of learning this author's take on that, and whether or not any of this stuff is actually true, I don't know, but I did enjoy learning about it because the 1920s is an era that I never really wanted to learn about, but she made it enjoyable, so I appreciated it. And then that leads us to the third of the Diviners series, and that one was called Before the Devil Breaks You. And this one is just kind of like, now the group of diviners are trying to figure out a big bad thing that's happening in the third book, which if I tell much about that, then it's going to be spoilers all across the board. But anyway, I really like the friend group. I love how they all came together. I love the characters. I think they were really well developed. I love all the backstories behind them. And I think the thing that makes this series so good, and what everybody had said before I started it, is that the narrator is so freaking good. She does accents. She does singing. She actually sings in it because a lot of it is like 1920s party life. So she sings. She does accents. She's very enthusiastic. She's very interesting to listen to, and she's an American. Well, from what I know, she's doing mostly American accents, but you know, like New York, and also like a Southern accent and a New Orleans accent. So I really, really appreciated the narrator of it. There was also like actual music in some parts, so that really, really makes an audiobook for me. So I absolutely love them. All three of them were 5 stars. Like I said, the first one, Two Can Keep a Secret, was 4 stars. And like I said before, 69 hours of listening to audiobooks. That's a lot of listening. And I usually play Candy Crush while I am listening to these audiobooks, or I'll be doing art, or I'll be like cleaning the apartment or something like that, laundry, anything like that. So my plan for this next upcoming month is to focus more on my physical books, because I have a lot of physical books that I need to do. I'm going to do a collective haul from Christmas up until February of all the books that I've gotten, because there's a lot of them. I can't stop now, and it's a problem. So I'm going to kind of go through that too, but I'm going to focus on my physical books. I have to finish Vicious. It is taking me forever. I read like 2 more chapters in it this month, and for some reason I just don't like it. I think if I sat down and read it all at once, I'd probably like it better, but I just don't like it. It could be the writing style. It could be the time lapse of it. I want to love it. Let's hope that I can love it. But yeah. Also, I got a new tripod and ring light for my filming, so let me know what you guys think, if the quality is better. I'm curious. I'm still filming on my phone, still not editing, but I'm going to try and work on that a little bit this month. So yeah, but that's pretty much my wrap up. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have read or listened to The Diviners, or Two Can Keep a Secret. I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. Let me know what you're planning on listening to and reading in the month of March. And if you have any really good thriller suggestions, I would love to hear them. I wanted to participate in Thriller-thon. I'm actually like super obsessed with Harriet Rosie's new channel, not new channel, but her channel, ever since Cody recommended her to me, because she was the host of Thriller-thon, because I was joking and saying, oh, there needs to be a thriller marathon, and there is one. But I missed it because I just was so focused on the Diviners. And I might actually make it to NovaCon, which is actually NovaCon? Is that what it's called? Novateen. And that's the Northern Virginia book little convention thing, and it's actually really close to where I live. I'm in Maryland, but I'm like right over the border into Virginia, and Libba Bray is gonna be there, and she's the one who wrote the Diviners series, so I'm actually like really hoping I can make it. And Julie from Pages and Pens is gonna be there too, so I'm gonna try really hard, but we'll see. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out my social media links in the description box. I am most active on Instagram. So if you want to get to know a little bit more about my daily life, I do a lot of daily Instagram video blogging on there versus on YouTube. So if you want to see my adventures, then go on there. But I appreciate all of you. Welcome to the new people to my channel, and I look forward to you sticking around. Have an awesome, awesome Tuesday. Okay, bye.